Welcome to Barn Banter, the podcast by Horse Illustrated. Each month, we bring guests to educate, entertain, or inspire you as you pursue the horsey lifestyle, plus an adoptable horse with a unique story. I'm Susan Friedland, an equestrian author, blogger, and speaker with a soft spot for off-track thoroughbreds. You can find me at my blog, saddleseekshorse.com, or on Facebook or Instagram at Saddle Seeks Horse.
And I'm Holly Kakamis, editor-in-chief of Horse Illustrated and Young Rider magazines. You can find us at horseillustrated.com, youngrider.com, and Horse Illustrated and Young Rider on Instagram and Facebook.
Holly, it's July, and you know what that means?
What does it mean?
It is BreyerFest, and not just BreyerFest, but the Chincoteague Pony Swim.
Best time of year.
Well, yeah.
April, which is my other favorite time, but yeah.
Right. With the three. Okay. So I have a very timely story to tell you. And that is, I was at my sister's house, and in her basement, she had a box that contained many, many of my childhood Breyer model horses. And I found two, and I'm going to do an unboxing. I know our listeners can't appreciate the video aspect of the unboxing, but maybe they can experience the enthusiasm. So you get to pick. Would you like what I am holding in my right hand or my left hand?
Oh, this is like heads or tails.
I'm not showing her what the boxes are, by the way.
Let's go right hand.
Right hand. Okay. That is an excellent choice. I am holding here a purple box with the classic Arabian family. I'm going to say this is probably circa 1981 or 82. And it still has the price tag. Do you want to guess what the price is? It was from Toys R Us. That's really dating myself here.
There's 3 horses in there. Mom,
yeah,
Dad,
it's
baby.
Stallion mare full.
I want to say maybe they were like $20.
Okay. Do you ever, this reminds me of The Price is Right. Okay. No, it's lower.
Lower? Breyers are 45 for one.
I know.
Breyer.
Okay.
Oh, I don't know. 15.
You want me to just tell you?
Yeah.
Because when I saw the price, I was like, no way. How is it that inexpensive? $7.96.
What?
This just means I'm old. That's all that means.
I have a time machine. Oh, and tell me the story of how your Breyers were at in your sister's basement.
Oh, well, because, I grew up and I moved to California for 25 years. And so, but you can't get rid of your Breyers ever.
Except
right?
that I did, because my parents were like, oh, we're moving and we're getting rid of all your stuff. My Walter Farley books, I had all 20. My Margaret Henry books, gone. My Breyers, gone.
Do you still speak to them?
They did ask me if it was okay, and I'm like an anti-porter, so I was like, yeah, it's fine.
Oh, that's good. No. But you know what? You can recapture them, because that's
I only had a few. And the Black Stallion and Black Beauty, they're very common, so I'll rebuy them someday. So
then the other part is my niece Maddie, who is younger than me. She's a young woman. She's in her 20s. She went through the horse phase, which she hasn't grown out of. She still rides, but so it was like perfect, because then I didn't have to get rid of them. I'm like, oh, well, Maddie can have them on loan. So I'm getting them back at this point. Yay. So the box here, I'm going to open it up and we'll see what we have inside. Oh my gosh.
It's in the box, and the box has a price. Oh, it's the full.
It's like a dark chestnut, super cute.
Maybe we can take some pictures for
put them in the show notes.
Yeah,
let's do that. Okay. And then we have right over here, I think this is the mare.
I like the original tissue paper.
No, I was like reading what it says. It says something New Orleans, so I certainly don't think.
Oh, okay. Oh, very pretty.
He looks pretty good.
Kind of a dark chestnut. Yeah, like the foal has some white stockings.
Right. Cute. And then the stallion is I did see the stallion the other day. Okay. Okay. Don't know where he went.
We need to find him and put the family back together.
I know. We need to reunite them. Oh my gosh. Okay. But so it was fun to go through and just to look at the boxes, because the packaging has obviously changed.
I find out what was in your left hand, because I'm gonna be
okay. So it was the Andalusian family.
Oh, another family. You like the families. I didn't know.
I was very into family. So this has a gorgeous white, looks like he's a running stallion, and then a
Oh,
really pretty dapple gray mare, and then a little
wow.
baby, super cute.
Oh, I've never.
And they were so I'm reading the address here. It's on Maplewood Avenue, Chicago, Illinois. I may have to go do some history sleuthing, and I
Okay,
know they're not there
great.
anymore, but
That's
it's
close
just kind of
by.
fun to see like that building or that lot or that, restaurant is where Breyers were made.
Oh, and speaking of sleuthing, is this a good time to segue into your Marguerite Henry
Yes. Yes. So I'm
sleuthing?
really excited and grateful. I have my young reader middle grade, so it's ideal for kids from 10 on up. Actually, I don't want to restrict it just to children, but my Marguerite Henry biography, Marguerite, Misty, and Me, I have a kids version, and it's got about half the word count, hopefully twice the fun. There's a timeline of Marguerite Henry's life and world events that were going on. And there's an author Q&A. There's photos of my horse Knight and me. And it's just designed to really showcase the Marguerite Henry story as well as the Chincoteague ponies. So I was able to get some Chincoteague pony photographers to work with me and get the use of their photos. So I'm really excited about this because I don't remember if I shared with you or maybe on a episode a long time ago that I spoke at the Chincoteague Elementary School last fall. And
Oh,
there was a little girl in the fourth grade class that said, "Oh, I would really like to read your book." And I'm thinking, oh, well, she can't really read Margaret Miss Jimmy. Not that she couldn't, but it's just not written for a younger audience. So this felt like the right move because, especially in the book, there's a lot about Marguerite's writing methods and with the advent of AI and I know there's a concern that maybe writing is going to one day be sort of a lost form of communication without,
I'm
having access to another,
I'm
a
hoping
source.
not. I feel like AI writing sounds pretty obvious. It hasn't really improved that much. So I'm going with there's always going to be a niche for, plus it only is backward looking. There's no like completely unique creativity in AI writing. So I'm
That's
going to go
true.
with you'll still have a job as a writer, but
Oh, yeah.
I'm wondering, so is it available for pre-order now? Are you going to have
Yeah,
books at BreyerFest?
yes, I will be
Go.
at BreyerFest at the Taborton Equine Books booth in the covered arena. And I will be on Chincoteague Island for Pony Penning Week. But people can order off my website, which is saddleseekshorse.shop. And they could also order from online bookstores that I won't name. But I would prefer if they order direct from me because then I can send a little thank you note and a Misty
Oh,
bookmark
very
and it makes it more
nice.
personal.
Well, and I think everybody is captivated by the story of the Chincoteague ponies. I mean, mostly from reading Marguerite Henry's Misty of Chincoteague as a child, as I think pretty much everyone listening to this probably did, I'm guessing. So yeah, I've never been to the pony swim, but I love hearing about how it is still so similar to what she experienced in 1946, seven, which year? Seven, six?
Yeah, 46 is when she was there. And I loved seeing Shelley Paulson's photos in the article that you guys ran.
Yes,
And
this
that
year we
it's
did
amazing.
a big photo portfolio in our July issue of Horse Illustrated of the Pony Swim. She went last year, so we've just been holding on to that one until our July issue came up this year, and it's already out. So
And in the world.
I believe it's already available on newsstand, maybe not quite on newsstands, but I have just gotten my advanced copy. So yes, anybody that loves Chincoteague, Marguerite, has a child in their life, well, if they don't, they can read the original Marguerite, Misty, and Me, or they can wait for this one for a younger reader, which I have read, and I must say it is wonderful, and I think it's very appropriate for the age level and but it's meaty enough that it gives them something to do this summer and read that. So
Thank
it's
you.
awesome. Go order it.
Yeah.
So okay, so we does this segue? Are we
I think this is a brilliant segue.
Okay, so this brings me to introducing our first guest, who is Amanda Delgado, the owner of Athenian Lady. And Athenian Lady has a very special story, which she will share with us. She is going to be the BreyerFest celebration horse this year. And BreyerFest is July 12th through the 14th. So if you haven't already made plans to go, you may just want to get some plans together. And hopefully we'll release this in enough time for you to do that. But especially after you hear this, is just the most incredible story. One thing after another, you just can't believe what you're hearing. So the BreyerFest theme this year is against all odds. So there are multiple rescue horses featured, and Athenian Lady is the celebration horse. So she is a beautiful Breyer and great story. We had an article about her in the July issue of Horse Illustrated, which we can link in the show notes. But we hope that you'll get just a whole different facet of her story from the interview. So we will chat with Amanda Delgado. Because mobility matters for every horse, look to Adequan IM, polysulfated glycosaminoglycan. For over 30 years, veterinarians, trainers, and owners have trusted Adequan. Ask your veterinarian if Adequan is the right choice for your horse. Learn more at adequan.com. Hi, Amanda. It's so great to have you on with us.
Thanks for having me. I'm so excited.
So we recently had an article in the July issue of Horse Illustrated with your story and Athenian Lady. But I thought we could just dive a little deeper in for our podcast listeners, just because I know there's just so much of the story that we didn't even have room to cover. I just want to talk about where it all started. You got a call, you were looking for a horse, you weren't looking for a horse. Like, what happened at the very beginning?
Yeah. So, my family was military growing up, and in high school I had to move to Japan. And so I grew up with horses my whole life, but when we moved to Japan, we had to sell all of them. And I was heartbroken and devastated, but I would I tried to volunteer at barns just to be able to like be around horses. And so after that, I joined the Army. And I didn't have the money or the time to have my own horse. But again, I would volunteer mucking stalls. I'd get on just about any kind of horse I could, just to have them near. And I had to separate from the military for medical issues. But my husband was still in the military, and we moved to Fort Bragg, or I guess Fort Liberty now. And kind of the funny story between me and my husband, when we were getting engaged, I told him I didn't want a diamond ring. I just wanted my horses back. And because, you always have that moment where you're about to get engaged. And so I was like, look, just don't spend the money on a diamond. I just want the horses back. And so he's like, oh, yeah, he's not a horse guy at all. So he thought he was getting off on a cheap ring. He knows better now. But we moved to North Carolina, and I was volunteering at a horse rescue. And I was casually looking for a horse. I knew I wanted to show horses, and I wanted to have a horse I could go and do well in like the hunter on her saddle and some of the ranch horse classes. So there were some horses at the rescue, and they just didn't quite fit the bill for what I was looking for. So it was very casual. I was looking for several months, and I was working at this horse rescue as like a marketing expert, and then also like a horse care expert. And so I was taking care of horses every day there. And then we were very, very full. And we get a call at the rescue about a horse who had been abandoned in a pasture, and the owners had listed her for sale on Craigslist. Well, initially we were actually told it was a gelding. And they told me the word gelding. And so, when a non-horse person uses that word, you think, oh, okay. So the rescue didn't have money for her at the time, so we tried to facilitate an adoption. And so we had one adopter come out and go get the horse, and they called us and they're like, no, we don't want the horse. And they left. Didn't really tell us a whole lot of why they didn't want the horse. So we facilitate a second adopter. Within 24 hours, they go out there and they're like, nope, we don't want the horse either. But someone needs to get out here. The horse has no food, no water. It's in really bad shape. So we start loading up the truck because the horse was about 45 minutes away. So as we're driving out, the CEO of the rescue was facilitating a third adopter and finally found someone who would go. And so we had our hay and some feed and some water. and we pull up, and it was this decrepit horse pen. There was barbed wire all around. The pasture was just dirt, and there was a lot of garbage. So there was like a rusted out Volkswagen Beetle in there, and this shed that didn't even have a roof on it anymore, and boards with nails sticking up. There was like a half sawn like barrel for her water, but it was just like green sludge at that point. And you could tell where she had like reached through the fence and grazed about 4 feet around the fence as well. We go out and we give her hay, and the process of rehabilitating a horse from starvation to like it's pretty slow. And so we knew the right process. And so we were getting her some food and taking care of her. And when we stepped out of that pickup truck and I saw her for the first time, well, first of all, I thought it was gelding. And I was so good at the rescue about not getting attached to the horses. I loved them and I cared about them, but I knew they weren't going to be mine. So there was always kind of like a boundary there. But when we stepped out of the truck and I walked around the corner and I saw, sorry if I tear up, I saw this copper color horse, and she was skinny. She didn't look great, but underneath all of it, you could tell she was a really nice horse. And so we walk up and she trots across the pasture, and she was just like a ballerina. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is such an incredible horse. Well, we had a third adopter lined up to get her the next morning. And so I went out there and I touched her and, gave her some treats. And I fell head over heels for this horse, like immediately. And I was like, dang it, why did I do this? Like, you know better. And so I went home that night, and I didn't get any sleep. I was tossing and turning, just thinking about this horse all night long. And I was like, dang it, I really want her. And the third adopter came out the next day, and for whatever reason, they didn't want her. And I looked at the CEO. I was like, I'll take her. I'll take the horse. I'll take the horse. And so, so that's kind of how that started. And it wasn't initially like, I didn't pay attention if it was a mare or a gelding, because they said the word gelding. And so we went to go catch him. Originally, I was going to name him Poseidon. And we go out. This is something that not a lot of people know about. The fact that Athena was actually presented as a gelding before. And so we go out and she trots off, and I'm looking at her because she had her tail up. And I was like, oh no, he has like something wrong. Like there's some sort of injury. And then he went trotting to the side. I'm like, it's a mare. It's not a gelding. And before I was very much like a gelding person, but again, it went against like every feminist principle that I had to like not want the horse because it was a mare. And I was like, okay, no, I'm going to become a mare person. It's going to be okay. And now I love mares. Mares are the best ever. And yeah, mare gang for sure.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, mares are, they want their person. It seems like I hear that a lot, but they will do anything for you once you have them on your side.
Yeah, as soon as you get that like respect and that trust from a mare, I mean, she'll do anything for you. I've never had a horse have the drive and the work ethic that a mare has. And I know they can be finicky, and sometimes, yes, it can be frustrating dealing with how opinionated they are. But I mean, there's just, I don't know, a good mare is a good mare, and they will take care of you.
Yeah. Well, I consider this to be like part 1 of 3 in your story. So part 2, I kind of think of as, getting her home. That was like a little bit of an ordeal. And then what happened once she got home was quite unexpected. At least that's how I read it, if you want to tell us.
Yeah. So when I committed to the horse, I told the CEO of the rescue, I was like, look, I'll take her. And so then it was the whole process of getting her to the rescue, because at the time I didn't have my own place. So I knew I was going to have to board her. So she's going to have to get Coggins vaccinations, all that. So we were going to move her to the rescue until we can get all that finished. And so we show up with a horse trailer to get Athena. And I mean, she was running from us. Like she could not be caught. And when we would try to like corner her and pressure her to like kind of corral her into a trailer or just in a tighter spot, she fought. She's not one of those horses. She had been abused so poorly that she was petrified of people, just absolutely petrified. And so she was actually like running people down, like coming after people. And I had to I had to dive through fencing at one point to get away from her. And my husband was standing on the other side, like, are you sure you want this one? And bless his heart, never been around horses. I was like, yep, she's the one. And so I told everyone at that point, I was like, look, this isn't working. I think she would do better like one-on-one with someone. So every day I would drive 45 minutes one direction to feed her and get a halter on her. So it took me 4 days to get a halter on her. And I did it by just sitting with a bucket in my lap and then putting the halter over the bucket. So she had to put her head through the halter to be able to eat. Took a long time, but we got there. And then she started kind of trusting me and at least associating me with food. So I was able to start leading her. So I taught her how to lead. And so that point took me about 10 days. And I started cleaning up her pasture because there were nails sticking up with boards. And that's when I found the horse skeletons in her pasture. And there were 2 sets there. And I was wrecked because that, like, the more I would go over there, the more I realized how horrible the situation she had been through. And I was just sitting here like, how is this horse still here? How did she survive this? There were like bullets and chains hanging on her gate, and there were scars all over her, and it was pretty awful. And so I finally got Athena's trust, and I called one of my friends who had this huge open stock trailer. And I said, look, I don't know if this horse, like, I'm struggling to get her on a trailer. I just taught her how to lead. Could you come over? And at this point, Athena and I had been pretty bonded, and we had this level of trust. And so we backed up the stock trailer to the pasture gate, and she literally just leaped on behind me. It was this crazy moment where I think she knew that she was getting out of there. And she was just like, let's go, let's do this. And so we get her to the rescue, and we had her there for 24, not even 24 hours. It had been like 12 hours. And she sliced her leg on a round pin panel. And I came out the next morning to feed her, and she just was really gimpy. And I was like, what the heck? And then I see the blood on her back right leg, and my stomach just dropped. And I remember crying in frustration because I was like, gosh, we just rescued her out of literally, it looked like a garbage yard, like a dump yard. Mm-hmm. And then we move her to a safe place, and then she gets hurt here. Like, how does this happen? And so we called the vet out, and they stitched her up. And unfortunately, an infection got up underneath the stitches. And within about a couple of days, there was this huge raging infection. She had like proud flesh, and unfortunately, the infection ate its way down to her deep digital flexor tendon. And she was just getting lamer and lamer. And I remember I was crying a lot because at this point I had the mare. I was committed to this mare for about at least 2 or 3 weeks. And I just remember thinking, like, this can't be it. Like, this can't be the end. Like, we've done so much. We've worked through so much. This can't be it. So I called the vet out, and he came out, and he was like, between her temperament and the injury, you just need to put the horse down. And that just didn't sit right with me because Athena, you could tell she was hurt, but she still had fight in her. She hadn't given up. And for me, I think that's like a big telling moment with a horse. And so I get a second vet out, and she told me the same thing. She's like, it's just best. You just need to give up on her. It's going to be too much money. The horse is not a good temperament. Like, you just need to put her down. So then I called like my personal vet, and I said, look, please, will you just come take a look at this horse and tell me what you think? Like, I really, it's killing me. I don't want to put her down if I don't have to. So he came out, and he was so patient with her. He's so wonderful with her. And he was like, look, I can do a field surgery right here for her. She can't get on a trailer at this point, but we could do a field surgery, and she has about a 30% chance of ever being ridden. And I was like, that's fine. If she's a pasture ornament for the rest of her life, that's okay. I just really wanted her to have a home and a place where she could be loved. So he did the surgery, and to make a very long story short, I rehabbed her for 6 months. So she was so feral that I had to sedate her every single day to be able to change that back bandage. And if she came up out of sedation, she came out swinging. She got me a few times, but it was really hard because she was not trained very well. She was terrified of people, but I couldn't really do a whole lot with her because of her leg injury. So we were just, a lot of that time I was just trying to put hands on her and just getting her used to me. And the more time went on, the more she trusted me. Eventually we got clear to start hand walking, which I was so excited and thought that was going to be like the fix for everything. And it was wild. She was a kite. She was kind of crazy. I remember this one time she was rearing up and striking out, and I was just like, oh my gosh, I'm so in over my head with this horse.
Oh.
But we worked through it. And then in February or March 2016, we got cleared. It was about 6 months after her leg injury. We got cleared where I could move her from the rescue and start riding her and doing groundwork with her. So it was this huge celebration moment where she was like completely sound and we recovered and we got through like this huge obstacle together. So it was a big deal.
Wow.
This story is amazing. I've got just a couple
Thanks.
questions that kind of popped up.
Yeah.
So when you first met her, did you have any concept of how old she was?
So we kind of guessed she was about 5 years old.
Okay.
She was pretty young.
And that, I assume you had a vet look at her and they were like, oh yeah, she's, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, my math is not great. So you met her in 2016?
So I met her in September 2015. And we moved her we moved her to the rescue on Halloween of 2015.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I can tell you guys have a really strong bond. And that kind of amazed me when you were saying that she sort of trotted over to you, because I'm picturing when you were talking about the skeletons and that, like, she probably wasn't in the best shape and there was some spark that she like connected with you that way. How is she with other people now?
Yeah, so it's kind of wild. For many years, and I'm talking about 5 years after I rescued Athena. Athena was my horse. She didn't want anyone to touch her. No one really could. I mean, people could lead her around, but she didn't like it. We had a joke where when we have people come to the farm, they were allowed one pet and then she'd snatch away from them like, nope, okay, you're done. But it's been really cool ever since I moved her home with me. And I live in a hunt box, so I live with my horses. Like my house is connected to my barn. It's kind of ridiculous, but I love it. Athena has completely just found her peace in a whole new way. And now she loves people. It's really transformed over the past like year and a half, 2 years. When we go to horse shows, she thinks everyone is there for her. And she loves all the attention, all the pets, all the scratches. When people come to the farm now, she loves like cuddling with them and loving on them. And she really loves kids, which is kind of wild because she hasn't really been exposed to them a whole lot. But she loves children and like she'll just kind of reach down to them and get on their level and just be so soft and sweet with them. And that for me has been one of the most, the ribbons and buckles are great, but seeing her like truly heal from the abuse and learn to love and relax around people again, that has been one of the coolest things. Because I remember I just thought Athena would always be really quirky. I thought that she would always just be, very standoffish with others. And it's been really, really, really special to see her just kind of come down. She's very much still my horse. Like when it storms outside, my husband will be standing outside in the rain trying to call her in and she'll be like, maybe, maybe not, no. But I'll call out and whistle and she comes running and he's just like, that's so frustrating. But yeah, she's really come a long way. I'm so proud of her.
And a follow-up question I have too is like, have you had to face stigma or people making quick judgments about her? And like, what would you say? Because I feel like dog rescue is really normalized, and I don't know that it's the same way in the horse world. So,
we can tie this in with what happens in part 3 as I see it.
Yeah.
Like she went, it sounded like from the story, like almost as soon as you were riding her, like she was ready to show, but I'm sure it wasn't quite that fast. Do you want to tell us a
No.
little bit about how
Yeah.
you found her niche in the show world?
Yeah. So, yeah, that all kind of ties together. So, I have always loved quarter horses and the paint horse world, like stock horse stuff. I just love a good stock horse. And Athena is a quarter horse. We've got her DNA tested, and that's a whole other rabbit hole for later. But I've always loved like that quarter horse show world. And so when I rescued her, I thought she'd be perfect for the hunter on her saddle. She's a huge moving horse, just very forward, very floaty type, very hunter type. So when I started riding her, so I the first couple months that I brought her to the boarding barn that I was at, I did about 3 or 4 months of strict groundwork. Never got on her. And I'm so grateful that I did, because when I did swing my leg over, she was so quiet. It wasn't eventful. She was so steady. So I sat on her for the first time Memorial Day weekend, 2016. And then November 1st of 2016 was our first horse show. We went to an open show, and we did the hunter on her saddle. And it was so crazy because when I rescued Athena, she had quite a reputation for being pretty explosive and dangerous. And I was a do-it-yourself amateur at the time. And so a lot of people were like, oh my gosh, you're going to get hurt with this horse. She's just too much. You should just put her down. You're never going to be able to ride her, is what a lot of people told me. They're like, you're never going to be able to ride this horse. And so I started riding her, and she was doing great. And then I was like, I'm going to show her. And everyone's like, you're not going to be able to show this horse. She's too crazy. She's too explosive. She's a rescue. I mean, people really looked down their noses at her just because she was a rescue. And I was like, nope, we're going to show. I believe she can do this. And we went to our first horse show of November 2016, almost a year to the day from when I rescued her from that pasture. And she won every single class we entered in that day. And it was such a mind-blowing moment, and she loved it. It was so crazy. She loved the horse show. And that's when I was like, whoa, I think Athena can do some pretty incredible things. So we showed in the open show circuit, and here in North Carolina, we have such a huge horse community. And at these open shows, we have some of the big quarter horse people come, a big paint horse people, big hunter jumper riders, and almost all of them would look down their nose at Athena. They would see us going along, and we were a military family. I didn't have a lot of money. And so a lot of my tack and my clothes came from consignment stores, or I made them myself. I remember like there were horse shows where I would sleep in the tack stall next to her because I didn't really have enough money for a hotel. People definitely looked down their noses at us. They didn't really take us seriously. They thought we were a joke. And I remember being so frustrated by that because I was like, gosh, this horse is so talented. How can you not see past that? Like, how are you letting her past define who she is now? And I just got so frustrated with that. And it didn't help that I was a do-it-yourself amateur. I didn't come from a big training barn. I didn't have a trainer training Athena. I was doing all the work myself with a coach, but I was doing all of it myself. I was an equine photographer at the time, and my mentor told me about the Pinto Association. And she was like, hey, did you know that you can register Athena as a Pinto because she's got her belly spots? And I had no idea. I was like, oh my gosh. I said, I don't have papers on her. They're like, no, it doesn't matter. You can register her just off of her color. And then I was like, oh my gosh, this is my ticket to a world show. I'm going to be able to take her to one. So I get her registered at Pinto, and I put all this work, and we go to the Pinto World Show for the first time in 2018. It was my first breed show, and I just like jumped off the deep end and went straight to a world show. So like I was probably not the most prepared, and there's a whole other story to that for another time. But we did pretty well. I mean, we got some top 5s and some top 10s, which for a do-it-yourself rescue horse, I thought was incredible. But I'd be, bebopping around, and people would ask me about her breeding, and I said she's a rescue, and people would literally just be like, oh. They would treat her like she was almost diseased, I guess. I don't know how to explain it. They just were very put off by it. And heaven help us if we actually did beat out one of the nicer bred horses. People would get so angry. And I I had comments made by judges I showed in the ranch, and they said she's just too pretty of a mover to show in the ranch. And I was like, what does that even mean? And then in the hunter under saddle, people are like, she's just too big of a mover for a hunter under saddle horse. I'm like, what does that even mean? It's a hunter horse. And it was at the Pinto World Show the first time I first discovered Western dressage. I saw people in Western tack going down to the dressage arenas, and I thought, what the heck are those people doing? It's English week. They're doing dressage. What are they doing? And I handed my horse off to my husband, and I followed him down, and I saw Western dressage for the first time. And I was watching the classes, and I thought to myself, oh my gosh, Athena could totally do this. And so we came back home, and we didn't have any Western dressage trainers here in North Carolina at the time. And so I Googled everything I could on Western dressage. I watched every video I could. And then, we came back out in 2019. We did some schooling dressage shows around here. And so I got some comments. And we went back to the Pinto World Show in 2019, and we won our first world championship titles in Western dressage. So yeah, it's really such a beautiful journey to get to where we were and where she's at now, because now in the Western dressage, she's not judged for being a rescue. She's actually celebrated for being a rescue horse, which is so special. And people don't look at her and think, oh, she's a rescue, and they just kind of shrug her off. They think, wow, that's a really talented horse. Oh my gosh, and she's a rescue? That is amazing. And so it's been super special to finally find our niche and like the people who appreciate her for who she is.
That's awesome. I love hearing that. I don't know much about Western dressage, so I'm always like, what kind of horse, like, what are they looking for? But it sounds like she is basically everything exactly that they are looking for, and she just really
I mean, that's so the cool thing about Western dressage. It's really classical dressage principles for your everyday horse. One of my favorite Western dressage mentors, she broke it down beautifully. She's an S-level traditional dressage judge, and then she's a large R Western dressage judge. And she said the whole mission for USDF is to build Olympic athletes. So you're looking for horses that are just the elite of the elite, and most horses are never going to make it to that level. Western dressage is about making safe, harmonious horses for your everyday person and your everyday horse using classical dressage principles. So it's really open to any kind of breed. We're taught as judges to really break down the horse's movement type based on that horse's breed and conformation and judge it based off of that rather than like an ideal standard. So you'll have quarter horses competing against warm bloods who are competing against Arabs who are competing against draft horses. And it's really all, at the end of the day, it's about who's the most correct. And so it really resonates with me and my horsemanship. And I really love that. It's what's best for the horse and just correctness. So
yeah, no, thank you for explaining that, because I feel like as an eventer who has to like get through dressage, like the standard is just too high for me to ever even like try to get there, and I'll never get there. But like the way you're describing, I'm like, oh, maybe I just need to put the Western saddle on.
You should. Please come play with us. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I've always loved dressage. I've admired it. I watch every Olympics, and I'm just so awestruck at the riders and the horses. But for me being military, I was like, it's so out of reach for me. It's so unattainable. I can't afford it. I can't afford the horses. I don't even know if I can afford a lesson with some of these people. But Western dressage has really exposed me to classical dressage principles, and it really is just dressage. And so I've been able to fall in love with the sport and been able to participate it with my everyday horse and be successful at it. So it's very inclusive to a lot of different people and breeds and, income levels. And I think that's such a beautiful thing that it's bringing classical dressage to a wider audience.
That makes a lot of sense. And thank you for telling us more about it, because I feel like I haven't heard that perspective on it, even though we've done articles about it and I've read about it. I feel like that really distills it down really nicely. So
yeah, I mean,
really cool.
It's really cool. If you look at the collective marks on the back of your dressage test, we've taken out the word submission, and instead we've replaced it with harmony. So we will place a greater emphasis on our harmonious partnership over a horse that's, super animated and has a ton of suspension. We're looking for a very peaceful, quiet, harmonious pair. And so I think that's what makes a quarter horse just as competitive as a warm blood in Western dressage. So I really, it kind of levels the playing field a little bit, and I like it.
Yeah, the fact that breeds have some like equal footing, because I feel
They
like
really
in
do.
English dressage, there's just you're never gonna compete with that big
No.
suspension trot, and
Yeah. We had a halflinger beat us out in one of our tests last year. She got first and we got reserve, and they had such a beautiful, soft, correct test. And I mean, I thought that was so special. I was like, in what other world does a halflinger beat out a quarter horse in dressage? I think that's just the coolest thing ever.
That is very cool.
Yeah, I'm so curious too. Are you a Western dressage judge now?
So I'm working on it.
Oh,
so
cool.
I'm an apprentice judge. I'm working on my small R. I went through the judges seminar, and it's really difficult to find USEF weighted shows in my area that I'm not taking clients to. And so it's been a juggling act of taking clients to horse shows and then finding shows that I can apprentice judge at. So I'm working on it. I'm hoping to have it done by the end of the year, but we'll see.
Oh, very cool.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And then if I know we're going a little long, but I just have to ask this. So when you got the call that Athenian Lady was going to be a Breyer, take us to that moment.
I thought it was a joke. I honestly thought it was a prank. I got an email. Oh my gosh, it's been about almost a year and a half ago now. It was last spring. I think it was last March. And they said, hi, we've been really watching your horse, Athenian Lady, and we think that she'd be perfect for next year's theme. And we'd love to discuss about the possibility of making her into a Breyer horse. We'd love to connect with you on a team meeting. Let us know what you think. And I was like, there is no way this is real. There is no way. I mean, I was that little girl that played with Breyer horses growing up, and I was obsessed with them. The fact that Breyer knew who my horse was, I was like, no way. So I actually Googled the email address it came from, because it came from Reeves International. Oh. Turns out it's the parent company for Breyer. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is real. And so I remember crying, bawling. And so we set up the team meeting. And I had asked them in an email, well, what's the theme for next year? And they were very tight-lipped about it. Oh. And I was like, oh, okay, well, we'll just see what happens and how it goes. And so we get on the Zoom call with the team at Breyer, and, they're telling me about Athena, and they're like, we've read every article. She's so incredible. And I was like, oh my gosh, they actually know who my horse is. They know our story and our journey. This is wild. And I asked them, well, what's the theme? And they said, well, it's against all odds. And when they said that, I started crying because I couldn't think of a better theme for Athena. And then they were explaining, I mean, even though I was a Breyer horse kid, I didn't get into it super deep. It's a whole huge culture and lifestyle. Mm-hmm. And I had no idea there were different tiers of model horses and tiers of Breyer horses. And so they were explaining the difference to me of all these different stages for BreyerFest and the responsibilities for each. And they're like, there is the celebration horse. And that's kind of what the whole event is kind of based around. And my heart kind of jumped up, and they were explaining it to me. And they're like, it comes with a lot more responsibilities though, but we would really be so honored if Athena could be the celebration horse. I completely broke down crying. They all started crying, and we were all just sitting there bawling and crying together. It was such a sweet moment, but it was the craziest thing ever. I'm so honored, so beyond honored that Breyer chose my horse. And to have her story immortalized like this forever is the greatest gift I think any horse person could ask.
And you're going to be there, right? So tell us what days, and can people come and meet her? How does it work?
Yeah, so BreyerFest is held in Lexington, Kentucky. It's July 12th through the 14th at the Kentucky Horse Park. We'll be there, and people can come meet Athena, and we'll be signing autographs. And if you get in the line where we're doing autographs, you can actually get your picture taken with her too. So it's going to be a super fun time, and we're so excited. We've had people reaching out to us on Facebook and Instagram about meeting Athena and how they're so super excited. And it's such a cool thing that Athena has so many fans now. And so we're so excited to meet them and be able to share Athena with them. So
That's fantastic. Well, we wanted to get this posted at the very beginning of July so people have the most time to get excited to find out what's going on and come make their plans to meet you guys. I think that
Oh, thank
And
you. It's
so
going to be
fun.
so much fun.
yeah, I'm going to be there. So I want my picture taken.
Yes, please come
And
say
where,
hi.
so how can we fangirl or fanboy? Where would we find you?
Yeah, so we're on Instagram. It's Olympus Equestrian NC. I named my barn after Athena. I wanted to kind of honor her in that way. So it's Olympus Equestrian NC as in North Carolina. And then we're also on Facebook at Olympus Equestrian. I post a lot about Athena and her shenanigans. So
Okay, I saw your Olympus shirt and your Olympus background. I wasn't sure. So, okay, that's
yeah.
very cool.
Yeah. This horse has completely changed my life in every sense of the word. When I was medically discharged from the Army, I didn't really know what I was going to do with my life. I had planned on being in the Army my entire career. So getting out was very difficult. And I really struggled with what am I going to do with my life now? And then enters Athena. And I also suffer from like a lot of medical issues. I have a stage 4 endometriosis. And so I've had probably, gosh, 8 surgeries since I've had Athena for endometriosis. And so this horse has kept me going in some of my like hardest moments. And with all the showing, and I mean, it's really kept me going. And, you know, having that drive and that passion for something really keeps you moving in the hardest times, keeps you getting out of bed every day. And then, you know, she's given me a career. And if you had told me all these years ago that I was going to be a professional horse trainer, I probably would have laughed in your face. Like, I thought it was such a crazy thing. So when I was naming my barn, I wanted to honor her because I wouldn't be doing any of this without her. She has given me so many wonderful gifts and such a beautiful life, and I'm so grateful for her. So we named it Olympus Equestrian after her because Mount Olympus is home of the gods in Greek mythology, and you know, she's Athenian lady. So
Oh, that's perfect.
Wow.
I love it. And then you can
yeah.
still keep the name Poseidon off to the side if you ever have a ghost.
Yeah. Yeah. So our hope in the next year or two, we actually want to breed Athena. And so I've consulted with veterinarians and trainers, and everyone's like, yeah, you got to breed this horse. She's super nice. She's put together really well. I didn't want to be one of those people that just breeds their heart horses for the sake of it. I was trying to be really responsible about it, but all of my coaches and my veterinarians are like, no, she's a nice mare. She's definitely breed her. So we're going to breed her to a sport horse stallion. We've got one kind of picked out. And so hopefully, you know, if she throws a colt, maybe we'll name him Poseidon.
Oh, perfect.
that.
That is
Yeah.
perfect. And I was so curious when you said you did the DNA on her and she ended up being a quarter horse.
Yeah. So so when I got her, I knew that she was a quarter horse. I mean, you look at her and she's definitely typey for that. And I figured she was a more hunter bred quarter horse. So I actually went into like every single like Facebook forum in North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Virginia, posting her pictures, asking if anyone recognized her. No one did. I couldn't figure out what happened. And so I sent her DNA to UC Davis and got her DNA'd, and she is a quarter horse. And it's kind of wild. We actually tested her white genetics, and turns out she doesn't carry any white gene that they currently test for. They just came out with a gene, I think, last year, like a new white gene that they discovered with paints. I haven't tested her to see if she carries that one. But so the Paint Horse Association, you have to know who the parents are in order to run the DNA match and match it. I don't know who her parents could be. But in the quarter horse industry, if you give them the DNA, they can actually run the DNA through their entire system. Unfortunately, nothing ever came back as far as registry, but she is, in fact, a quarter horse. So our theory, based on the veterinarian theory, you know, based on her DNA and the vets and her age, we think that she was a quarter horse crop out, meaning that all those years ago, you used to not be able to register a quarter horse when they threw excessive white. So she has 2 white belly spots. And so we think that when she was bred, she got dumped at auction because she couldn't be registered. And that's where she kind of ended up where she did. Thankfully, AQHA realized what was happening with these quarter horses, these really wonderful quarter horses. And now they do allow quarter horses with excessive white to be, you know, registered. They just can't show in the halter. So I'm really grateful that AQHA kind of course corrected there and realized what was happening to these horses. But that's kind of what we think happened to her. We think she's a quarter horse crop out.
It's so interesting. Wow. I
Yeah.
love hearing like the science part of it too. So that's
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. We were so hopeful because she is such an incredible horse. I was like, man, I want to be able to show and do all these things. So I worked really hard to try to find registration papers on her. And no matter what happened, like we came up with a dead end, but it's been really, it's been okay though, because with WDA, they don't need to be registered. And she has her own registry with Pinot and WDAA, and she's got tons of points, and we have a lot of opportunities to show there. So we're grateful.
Well, that's awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing this amazing story with us. It's been riveting. So I think our listeners will really enjoy it. And congratulations on being chosen as the celebration horse for BreyerFest. That's so cool. And and like come out and see her.
Yeah, I look forward to seeing you and getting the photo. And Holly, we'll have to meet up too, the three of us.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes, that would be so much fun. And it's going to be a really great time, and it'll be warm. It's Lexington in July, so dress for the heat.
Extra changes of clothes because you'll sweat through a few. At least I do. Yeah,
also at BreyerFest, there's also a bunch of other equines with incredible stories too. We've got some mules, and we have really awesome horses and ponies. So Athena's not the only one who's beaten the odds and went against all odds and overcame them. The team at BreyerFest, we're all now calling it CryerFest 2024, and to bring tissues because there's tons of other inspiring stories this year at BreyerFest too. So be sure to come out. It's going to be a great time.
Oh, fantastic. Well, thank you so much. And we'll talk to you very soon.
Sounds great.
For special rates on Horse Illustrated and Young Rider magazine subscriptions, just for our podcast listeners, visit horseillustrated.com/barnbanter.
Welcome, Amanda. So we have Amanda Stevens from Humane Society of North Texas here with us today. She is the head equine trainer, and there's a special a gelding, Dakota, who is up for adoption, and he has a very unique story. So thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. We are so excited to share this special guy's story. Dakota arrived to the HSNT ranch this past September, and he was a negotiated surrendered horse through a cruelty case. So our cruelty department had received a call regarding a horse that everyone could tell was not being taken care of. There was some neglect happening. He was seen almost looking disorientated and lost in a wooded area of a property. There were other horses there, but he was separate from them and was obviously not getting access to food or water. So our cruelty team went through their process of investigating and trying to find a way to help this horse out. And eventually it came to the point where the owners just did a negotiated surrender and surrendered the horse to us. I was at the ranch when Dakota arrived, and I may get a little emotional here. My voice may crack a little bit, but when he arrived, he barely could step off the trailer. He was extremely dejected, depressed. His head was down. He had a body condition score of probably 1 out of 9, extremely thin, malnutrition. You could see one of his eyes was deteriorating in his head and had not been treated for some time. And it was heartbreaking. And it took some time just to get him to walk into the barn. We got him into a stall, and we start all of our horses that come to us in poor condition on a refeeding program, which consists mainly of just soaked alfalfa pellets and some high quality grain, multiple meals a day, and we build from there. So we immediately started him slowly on that feed program, and we got him into the stall. We started feeding him, and it was just instant. It was, I think it was the first meal and just the first affection that we gave him. And all of a sudden he got very vocal, and he was whinnying and nickering, and he would put his head out, and you could tell that his vision was impaired. We didn't know the extent of it right when he arrived, but you could tell there was something going on there. But right away, he would put his head out of the stall door and was listening to us and engaging with every staff member and volunteer. And you could just feel his love and his beautiful soul right away. And the staff named him Dakota, which means friend of everyone. And that's really what he is. He is everybody's friend, and he is so beloved. And so we went through the process of getting him physically checked with our vets. And it turned out he did not have vision in both eyes. And his one eye was in very bad shape and needed to be removed, but he was so underweight that it had to take time to build up his weight to be able to do the anesthesia and do the procedure. So all of this has taken some time, but I have to say, this guy has been a trooper. And as soon as he was able, we were able to put him into a pasture and help guide him in the pasture of where, everything was. He picked up on it very quickly. His hearing is excellent. He relies on that quite a bit. And the second you call his name, his ears perk up and he comes right over to you. And he started to put on weight immediately. And it was just, you could tell he had just this strong survivor spirit. So we were able to get that eye removed. He ended up needing the second eye removed as well, but we didn't want to do it all at once. So it's again been more time. He's been putting on weight, and we just had him, he had a second surgery not too long ago and has recovered beautifully. So he has had both eyes removed, but you wouldn't even know it the way he is so responsive and the way he connects. Anyone that is around him just feels just light and love from this horse. I see so much potential with him. I've done a lot of equine therapy work, and I know that could be a road that he could go down, or just a beloved pet. I mean, that just brings joy to his new family. Either way, he's 23 years old, but the weight he has put on has been astounding. He is a big guy, solid horse. I think we don't know his history. A lot of the cruelty horses, we don't know their history, but even the vets have said, we have a feeling he's done a lot in his day. He was maybe a show horse at one point, or, he did something, because he handles everything with grace, and he's relaxed about everything. Nothing phases him. And our volunteers and our staff, everyone madly in love with him. And I just can't say enough good things about him, but as the trainer here that has helped so many horses get back to health, his story has just been extremely inspiring to me as a human, as a horse person. And I'm so proud of how far he's come. And I'm very grateful to have met him and have him in my life. And I just can't wait for him to find his forever home.
And Amanda, what would be kind of the ideal home situation? I know you said maybe therapy or a pet, but would someone need to have blind horse experience, or what would be your desire for someone that would be just the right fit?
Right. So he will be, of course, a specific adopter situation. Definitely more of an advanced person that has lots of horse experience, just to help set him up for as much success and be able to read him and help guide him for sure. So it will need to be an advanced horse person. And then we'll have to be just particular about, obviously, the facilities that he will be at. We have had him in, and due to our vet's recommendation, we were able to have him in a fairly large pasture where he is able to just have space to graze, and he does get used to his surroundings. And like I said, he really responds to voice cues quite a bit. Extra safety would be so important, which we always are particular about, but no barbed wire, no anything that could potentially be a risk to him, especially, I mean, any horse, but especially him. It needs to be extra safe fencing, extra safe facilities. But he does, he finds his way pretty well. Actually, we've had him with a few different geldings, and he's done well with everybody. He's kind of the middle of the pack kind of guy, pretty laid back, but he can hold his own. We actually had him with a little miniature horse named Scout, who was a former little stud miniature horse, and he had a little bit of some strong feelings about life. And Dakota just kind of let him know that, he was kind of in charge with him, and they got along great. And then Scout got adopted, and Dakota's been with a couple of other horses, and he's just so gentle natured that he gets along well with others. So great.
And I was just telling Susan, I know someone with a horse with both eyes removed whose pasture mate passed away, and she had to kind of get him a new pasture mate as a seeing eye horse to kind of help him know what's going. They have a small pasture and stalls. Would you say it needs to be someone that does have at least one other horse, just in case he's in
I would definitely recommend that. That helps them find their way and be a guide, and also just for the company. I think comforts him. There had been a little time period where he was by himself, and you could tell he wanted to be with someone. Just I think it kind of settles his mind when he knows that there's another horse with him for sure, just as he can't see.
Oh, he sounds very special.
Yeah. And where can potential adoptees go to, see pictures and learn more about him and connect with you?
Absolutely. So he is listed on the My Right Horse website, where you can find his listing and his profile there, as well as our website, which is hsntequineandlivestock.com. Also, we are on Facebook at HSNT Equine and Livestock Adoptions, and we post a lot of information on there as well. And we are located in the Fort Worth area, and we would just love for anyone interested to reach out, and we can give you more information or set up an appointment to meet him.
Wonderful. Thank you. We really appreciate it. And we're pulling for him to get the perfect home.
Thank you so much. We appreciate this opportunity. Also, I just wanted to mention, I had done an interview on this podcast with another horse of ours named Atlas, who was actually, and this just became a coincidence, he had to have his eye removed with us too, and he was a wild Mustang. And he's recently been adopted, and he's doing amazing in his new home. So thank you so much for having us. And we're very excited to share that update with you.
Thank you for sharing the update. Yeah, I do think about that from time to time. It would be fun to have like a reunion show and hear from all the various places. Yeah, thank you. Don't be shy. Show us some barn banter love by leaving a review, and you can tell all your friends too.